All right, welcome back to the Homestand Show. Time to talk about some basketball. The NBA Finals tips off tonight. Are you pumped or what?
I'm extremely pumped. Everybody's talking about the
Jokic and Denver getting a lot of hate.
Yeah, the lack of the storylines and luster the Nuggets have, or the aura as the new word. But I'm pumped because you got Nikola Jokic, who's probably the best player on planet Earth right now against the Miami Heat, who might be the best story in the NBA right now, and Albert, the two best coaches in the NBA going head to head right now in the NBA Finals. That's going to be some good basketball.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great series. Speaking of Jokic, maybe unguardable at the moment, but Kevin Garnett on his podcast on Showtime with Matt Barnes talked about how he would guard Jokic if he was in the game right now. Have a look.
That's how Joker plays. If I'm having to guard Joker right now, bro, the first thing I'm finna do, I'm finna initiate the fight early. Soon as you take it out and you're trailing, man, I'm waiting on you. I'm at the free throw line at that end waiting on you. And guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bump you a little bit. We're gonna run up together. I'm gonna bump you a little bit. I'm gonna be able to smell your cologne, your hairspray. I'm gonna be able to smell. I'm gonna bump you a little bit. By the time we get to the three-point line, I'm gonna run back because I got some responsibilities. As you go in the pick and roll, boom, we're gonna go in the pick and roll together. I'm gonna walk you there. Hey, go, I'm calling, hey, go under us. The guard gonna come under. If I gotta show, I'm gonna show early. But I'm not. I gotta switch it up. Next time I come down, I may let him run. Give him some, take one. Like,
it's okay.
You cannot give him the same thing, because guess what he's doing? Joker's so smart, he letting you come down, he letting you initiate. He's like a counterpuncher. He letting you swing for boom, bam, then he adjusted. So in that, either you gotta mix it up, initiate, and then on the offensive end, oh, nah, we finna run. I'm finna see how good of a shape you are. I'm finna get down here first. I'm gonna be big, I didn't get it this time. I'm gonna be setting hard picks, rolling hard.
Man, I can listen to KG all day and talk about basketball. Let's bring in our next guest, Coach Nick of B-Ball-Breakdown. Coach, is KG onto something there?
Well, it's funny. If Bam Adebayo hits Jokic and Jokic notices it, then maybe there'd be something there. But I don't even think he's got enough heft to do what KG is describing. That is when you got like two players that are similar size. But Jokic is going to walk down the court or sprint down the court. I don't think that picking him up early is going to do a whole lot. Like, he'll just sort of brush it off. But he was right. You have to mix it up and keep him off balance and show him different looks every time down. So if that is part of it, great. But I don't know if the extra physicality is going to mean much to him with what the Heat have, other than maybe like Zeller. Throw Zeller out there and let him do that kind of stuff. Maybe that would have an effect.
Coach, is that the key matchup in this series? Is it Bam against Jokic?
That's a really good question. I went through some of the footage we had from the game they played earlier this year, and either Bam cannot really handle that. He's so big, and he can just dribble down and back into the block anytime he wants, or he can run a pick and roll and force a switch. And anybody that the Heat have to switch on to Jokic, it's over. Like, no one is big enough to guard him at all, other than maybe, and not even Bam. So they're going to have to figure that out, like if they're going to play Love more to kind of be a bigger body. But again, he's not the guy to defend down there either. So there's a real deficit there. And yeah, I think all eyes are going to be on Jokic when the Nuggets have the ball.
Coach, Jimmy Butler and Aaron Gordon is another matchup I have my eyes on. Aaron Gordon has played some great defense against the likes of LeBron James and Kevin Durant, but he also said that Jimmy Butler might be the most complete and difficult guard this playoff run. What do you see in that matchup, and how is it going to break down throughout the series between those two?
I imagine that Butler might ignore him on the perimeter and like maybe pray that he does shoot some outside shots and then hope that they miss, which is possible. But again, it's another one of those. Gordon is extremely physical, very strong, much bigger. So I would be worried about offensive rebounds by the Nuggets off of that. Butler is tough, but at some point he's limited in how big he is. That's an interesting choice. And I'm not sure, it might not even match up that way. There's a lot of interchangeability here, I feel like, for the Heat, where, who's going to guard Michael Porter Jr., who's going to guard Gordon. It's like, and you have guys like Strus and Martin and Butler in a similar size and height range that they might have to interchange. Especially the way the Nuggets run their offense with constant movement. There will be some switches there. So, it's hard to picture the Heat doing very well defensively against this team, and they didn't show much in the regular season either.
We're speaking to Coach Nick of B-Ball-Breakdown. Coach, so they met twice in the regular season. Nuggets won both, 5 points and 4 points respectively in each game. How much stock do you put into these regular season games? How much of obviously is a difference when you're looking at it between the playoffs and the regular season?
Well, the Nuggets had a weird starting lineup in the last game. They didn't have everybody there, so it's hard to kind of get a handle. But I did want to make sure I saw that the Adebayo versus Jokic stuff, because that's good. KCP was out there, but I don't believe they didn't have Gordon. I think Konkar was playing, and so it was a little bit weird. I think I even saw Ish Smith at some point in one of those clips. So that's going to be interesting. But meanwhile, the Miami Heat have been pretty consistent. That their starting five was playing against them, so we got something there. But again, the playoffs are a different animal. Things change. The pressure increases to the point where certain players might not perform like you'd expect them to in the regular season. And then also you have a day or two where now you have 4 or 5 days in between to prepare. And that's going to be a big thing, because we saw the blueprint for basically what not to do against the Heat zone by the Boston Celtics. And so you know that there's going to be a much better attack of that by the Nuggets. And so what that means is I don't think we're going to see a lot of zone from the Heat.
No, we're going to obviously in Canada. We've talked about Canada's own Jamal Murray. The two-man game between him and Nikola Jokic, when it is clicking, nobody can stop it. Can you just speak upon how impressive and how dominant that two-man game is when it's at the top of their game?
Well, yeah, for sure. But let's not forget that it's actually kind of a three-man game if you look at it, because a lot of the time you'll see Murray set a back screen for somebody. And that means that Murray's man has to freeze to make sure that that cutter isn't open to the basket, because guess what? Jokic is going to hit that every time if it is. So now when Murray comes back around for handoffs from Jokic, he's got a step or two of a lead. And then that's when it's over, because now he can shoot it, he can drive, he can then give it back to Jokic. It's over. You know what I mean? Ironically, it's what the Heat do best in their offense with Bam. And yet they'll forget to do it from time to time or for big stretches. And it was very strange in that series as they lost 3 games in a row and then they struggled in game 7, where they kind of forget what they were supposed to be doing. They'll throw the ball down to Bam. If I see a Bam post up on Jokic, I might lose my mind, because it was really not good in the conference finals. And there's no way in my mind he's got that lefty hook shot thing. He can maybe use his quickness to get by Jokic, but other than that, I don't see that being an issue. So anyway, to get back to your point though, that is really the key here, is that the movement by the other players. And then I always say, if you want your shooter to get open, have him set a screen first, preferably some version of a back screen. The Nuggets have that. They've done it for years. And the only thing that the Heat can rely on or hang their hat on is that they run almost the same action. So they should be used to it. They should know how to defend it better.
Okay, so the Nuggets are going to have 10 days rest by the time the thing tips off tonight. In what way do you think that can impact this Nuggets team?
Well, generally, you'll see the first quarter, maybe the first half, they're like out of sync. They don't have a lot of rhythm. They're missing open shots, all that kind of stuff. And then usually by the second half, you'll see them kind of get back into rhythm. That's usually how it plays out. So don't be surprised if you see the Nuggets sort of just kind of, they haven't been playing anybody. I'm guarantee you they haven't been playing any kind of 5-on-5, because they would never want to risk an injury in practice. So that would be the only thing. But again, they're home. It's a big one, so they'll be able to have that comfortability there. And then you also see that the Heat don't have that rest and they have to travel. So I would think that at the very most you'll see like maybe a quarter of sort of out of sync stuff going on, some turnovers you might not expect. But then I imagine at least by the second half they'll get back to being their normal selves.
Coach, Eric Spoelstra and Mike Malone, 2 coaches who I think have great respect throughout all NBA circles. Eric Spoelstra might be the best coach in the NBA. Can you just explain individually what makes each coach so great to their respective teams?
Wow, that's a great question, because it's not easy to sort of measure, right? Like I used the example in my video I did on yesterday for the Celtics in terms of if I'm the Celtics coach and I have to go against a zone, that's a really good measure of how good I am a coach, because you have to design a game plan to attack that. On the flip side here, the fact that Spoelstra uses the zone as well as he does is a really good indication. And I love how they do it, because it's not a traditional 2-3. They stack the 2 guards sometimes. They have their forwards with their backs to the sideline, so they can see the whole floor. Those are things that tell you that these guys are out of the box, and they're always trying to push how they can improve. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they stumbled upon it because one of the players just did it, right? They did it by accident once and like, hey, that's really good. Another sign of a good coach, because they're willing to listen to the players. They don't have the ego that's going to, infect all their decisions. And plus, I think it's just there's a toughness to Spoelstra and the demanding nature. But if you like compared it to in the Knicks series, for instance, all you saw from Tom Thibodeau was just like the upset and mad. And even when they went on an 8-0 run, like that he couldn't even clap for them. And meanwhile, what you see from Spoelstra is almost constant clapping and constant encouragement from him, even though sometimes it might not come out as happy-go-lucky, but it's still there. And then Mike Malone is the absolute consummate supporter of his team. Those guys trust him. He trusts them. They believe that he is interested in them and to get the best out of them. So they'll do whatever he tells them to do, which is terrific. So you can see certainly on the Malone side, what they run on offense is just beautiful basketball. And that is designed by him in conjunction with, I'm sure, what Jokic brought over from like what he'd done in Europe. And again, that kind of back and forth is really key to having a successful relationship between your players, but also to be the best coach you can be and not assume that you just know everything and it's only going to come from one direction.
Coach, I was just going through your timeline and I saw you quote tweeted a clip from the Dan Patrick Show where DP was talking about how Denver has a great team, but they don't have the tune-in factor. And if they're on the TV, you're just going to breeze right by it. And you tweeted, "I now have a new purpose in life, ... What is it with, I guess, I don't know if it's casuals or even the media kind of poo-pooing on the Denver Nuggets a little bit, a team that swept the Lakers, have arguably the best player in the world, are now playing in the NBA Finals?
I honestly think it's more about small market than it is about like the players not being controversial enough. I mean, I know there's a gravity towards guys like LeBron and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And listen, I've been doing this for a long time. I make videos on as many teams as I can. And I certainly see which teams get more interest, like on YouTube, for instance, which I think probably mirrors how it works on TV. So I hate to believe that that's what it's about. Like people just sort of either say, "Oh, Jokic is not interesting as a person, so I don't want to tune in," because there are very few people who are as interesting on the basketball court. Their highlights are amazing highlights. The way he throws his passes. So I suppose I'm going to take that burden. And by the way, I didn't get a chance. I had to go out of town in this unfortunate timing around the Lakers Nuggets series. So I didn't get a chance to do enough videos on them. And then earlier on, other games, were epic and whatever. So I didn't cover some of the Nuggets games I wanted to. And so part of the burden I feel like is me. I want to make sure that I can make it clear, at least to my audience, that this is a team that's probably going to go down as one of the great teams we've seen in the NBA. I truly think that. I think we're going to realize how great Jokic is in a few more years. And we're going to realize how great Murray is and MPJ. This is a really good team. It really is. Top to bottom, what they can do all across on both sides of the floor. So it's my job. I'm going to make sure that I hype it up and I make sure people understand this and that by the end of the series, they're going to know that this Nuggets team is fun to watch. You better tune in and you're going to miss out on a great performance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I believe it's our job in the media as well to hype this up as much as possible. Listen, these are two very good teams. As you mentioned, we got to big it up. Okay, quickly, about 30 seconds left. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's going to win this thing?
I think it's the Nuggets. I think anybody is going to pick that as that's what it's going to be. And the only question is how long. And I kind of feel like 5, but the Heat are good. Spoelstra is great. Butler is playoff Jimmy. So, you might say 6 at the most.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
You got it. I'm in anytime.